When you hit rock bottom, when you fall into the deepest abyss of your world, have you ever felt completely hopeless? As if everything you had built meant nothing. As if everything you believed in, honor, pride, identity, could be crushed in just a few short days. Not by what happened on the pitch, but by something rotten from within. That was exactly the feeling surrounding Italy in the summer of 2006, when the Calciopoli scandal exploded like a knife driven straight into the heart of Italian football. If you were to rewrite the beginning of that story, it shouldn't start with a match. It should start in a courtroom. In the summer of 2006, before the FIFA World Cup had even kicked off, Italian football looked like a city that had just survived an earthquake.
The Calciopoli scandal
Detonated at the core of Serie A, exposing secret phone calls, hidden agreements, and invisible hands manipulating referees and match results. This was no longer rumor, no longer suspicion. Everything was recorded, revealed, and torn open in front of the public. The most powerful names in Italian football were dragged through the mud. Juventus, the symbol of dominance, was stripped of titles and relegated to Serie B like a criminal. Other clubs like AC Milan, Fiorentina, Lazio were all implicated, docked points, investigated. Figures like Luciano Moggi went from being shadow masterminds to the center of the storm. The entire system, once admired as one of the most tactical and intelligent football cultures in the world, suddenly looked like a staged performance. Trust collapsed, honor was shattered, and the national team became the only thing left to hold on to. But even they could not escape the shockwaves. The players didn't walk into the World Cup carrying just luggage, they carried the weight of suspicion. They were no longer simply representing a country, they were representing a football culture that had just been exposed. Every run was judged. Every win, if it came, would be questioned. In that context, Marcello Lippi was not just a coach. He stood between two edges of a cliff. On one side, total collapse of Italian football's image. On the other, the only chance at redemption, not through words, but through blood, sweat, and victory. And the men he led were not artists. They were warriors. Gianluigi Buffon, facing the reality of relegation with Juventus, yet stepping into the tournament with the eyes of someone who refused to fall. Fabio Cannavaro, the captain with a less-than-ideal physique, but who defended like every tackle was a fight for survival. Marco Materazzi, raw, rough, always walking the thin line between football and violence. And ahead of them, the minds of Andrea Pirlo and Francesco Totti. Creative, yes, but fully aware that this tournament would not be decided by beauty. Italy didn't enter the 2006 World Cup to entertain. They entered to survive. Because when an entire football culture is pushed into a corner, what remains is not philosophy, not tactics. It is instinct. And that instinct would carry them through one of the most brutal journeys in World Cup history. This was not a team that made you admire the beauty of football. This was a team that made you respect the survival instinct of a wounded giant. From the group stage, that identity was clear. They beat Ghana. They faced the United States in a match that almost turned into a brawl. Red cards, collisions, tackles that felt like they were meant to break something. Italy did not avoid violence. They lived with it. But the real test began in the knockout rounds. The round of 16 against the Australian national team was not a display of technical brilliance. It was suffocation, exhaustion. Every collision carried pain. Australia under Guus Hiddink played direct physical football. They dragged Italy into a battle of bodies. Every duel felt like a punch. Every cross into the box forced Italy's defenders to throw themselves in like men ready to sacrifice everything. Cannavaro didn't just defend, he fought. His tackles weren't just blocks, they were declarations. No one gets through. Then came the turning point. Materazzi was sent off. Italy were down to 10 men. For over 40 minutes, they were pinned back. Australia pushed forward relentlessly. Crosses, long shots, direct runs through the middle. Italy dropped deeper, tighter, enduring. This was no longer tactics, this was survival. Buffon threw himself at shots, punched crosses away, screamed instructions. The defense stood like a cracked wall that refused to fall. Every second felt like a minute. Every attack could have been the end. And then, the 93rd minute, a moment that looked harmless. Fabio Grosso drove into the box. A slight contact, a fall, penalty. The world argued. Italy didn't care. They only knew this was the one chance. Francesco Totti stepped up, just back from injury,
carrying the weight
of a nation. No hesitation, no long run-up. A powerful, cold, precise strike. Goal, 1-0. Not a beautiful win, a narrow escape. A team reduced to 10 men, suffocated, crushed, yet still alive. And in tournaments like this, survival means everything. Quarter-final. Opponent, the Ukraine national team. On paper, Italy was stronger, but World Cups punish arrogance. Ukraine, led by Andriy Shevchenko, had resilience and nothing to lose. But this time, Italy didn't just survive, they dominated. 6th minute, Zambrotta struck from distance. 1-0. And from there, Italy controlled everything. No panic, no rush. Ukraine tried to respond, creating moments. Shevchenko's header, Buffon's save, a shot blocked, a chance gone. Those were the moments that could have changed everything. But Italy didn't allow it. 59th minute, Pirlo cross, Luca Toni header, 2-0. 69th minute, Toni again, 3-0. Game over. If Australia was survival, Ukraine was control. Italy showed they could not only endure, but also kill games with cold precision. And from that point on, they were no longer just survivors. They were contenders. Step by step, quietly, they built something unbreakable. Their defense became a wall. Cannavaro's tackles weren't just defensive actions, they were warnings. Buffon's saves weren't just reflexes, they were instinct. The semi-final against Germany was one of the most intense matches of the tournament. Germany, at home, with an entire nation behind them. Pressure suffocating every breath. 90 minutes, 0-0. Extra time. Bodies exhausted, legs heavy, minds fading. And in that moment, when humans are at their weakest, instinct takes over. 119th minute. Pirlo. A tiny space. A perfect pass. Fabio Grosso. Goal. 1-0. Germany collapsed. Del Piero finished it. 2-0. Italy reached the final. But the final was not just a match. It was a wound. Berlin, July 9th, 2006. Opponent, France. A team with its own story, led by Zinedine Zidane, playing the final games of his career. The match began with tension. 7th minute, Zidane penalty. Panenka, off the bar, in. 1-0. A moment of audacity. Italy didn't panic. 19th minute, Pirlo corner. Materazzi header, 1-1. Two men, two destinies, forever linked. From there, the match descended. Collisions, pulling, elbows, words whispered like poison. Italy dragged the game into the mud, and no one lived in the mud better than them. Extra time, exhaustion. 104th minute, Zidane header, Buffon save. A moment of greatness. Then, everything broke. Zidane, Materazzi, words. A shirt pull, a turn, a headbutt. Silence. Red card. A legend walking away. No excuses, just gone. The game continued. Italy, unshaken. France, lost. Penalties, no tactics, just nerves. Italy didn't miss. 5 shots, 5 goals.
France missed one.
That was enough. Italy were champions. Not beautiful, but ruthless. They didn't win by being perfect. They won by refusing to break. Cannavaro lifted the trophy. Buffon screamed. Men who had lived through something far beyond football. It wasn't just victory, it was redemption. In a summer when Italian football was torn apart, they didn't answer with words, they answered with survival and triumph. The 2006 World Cup was not just Italy's 4th title. It was proof that in football, just like in life, you don't always have to be perfect to win. Sometimes, you just have to refuse to fall. But time never stands still. The heroes of that summer have all walked away. The memories slowly faded into nostalgia. And then, a painful reality began to take shape. Italy, the team that once stood at the top of the world, started to fall. 2018, failed to qualify for the World Cup. 2022, failed again. And now, after their latest defeat to the Bosnia and Herzegovina national football team, they are facing the very real possibility of missing out on the biggest stage in world football for the 3rd consecutive time. A cruel paradox. From the peak of Berlin 2006 to the depths of the present. And the question still lingers somewhere, like an echo from the past. When will Italy return to the days when they didn't just win, but made the whole world remember them, whether through glory or even through their scars?